Hey everybody, welcome back to Midnight Customs. So this is kind of part dose on the sheet metal project. So let me show you where we're at with it. So in the first episode, we just got the bottom situated, the hinges in, put some gussets down here. And then today, we got the clamp done, got it notched out to clear the hinges, both sides. And then we got some 1/2x13 all thread welded to the base. We got some springs, both sides, and we got long nuts. Now, I had to cut this thread or this stud completely off and redo it because I screwed up the threads. And then here's the aftermath. Screwed up the if it'll focus here, screwed up the all thread. That down there doesn't matter because this was never going to go that far, but this got screwed up inside here. Not necessarily a cross thread, but a little BB from welding that on flew up, basically up inside where this is, and screwed that up. So cut that off, put a new one on. We got our grade 8 washer, both sides. So I'm going to end up going to the store and getting another one of these long nuts. Now, something I ran into with long nuts, and hang on a sec, I'll show you. So this is a coupler nut. There's a small difference, but significant, between a coupler nut and a long nut. So these little holes don't mean squat to me. What means something is this little dimple right here. So this dimple, and I don't know if you can see it down in there. Maybe not. But anyway, this dimple is punched in and it acts as a stop. So this nut, this coupler nut, will only thread down this thread to that little dimple, and it won't thread no more. And then what you could do is take another piece of thread and come in from the top, and it'll tighten down to that dimple also. So for what I got going on, this is useless. These don't have any dimples in them. These will thread all the way. It'll take the thread all the way. Elevator going up type of deal, you know what I mean? So, but anyway, I got to go get another nut. I started doing this. Would have ground that down, but one, it's not correct. Two, it's never going to look as good. Then you got a bunch of welds to grind down. Now you could do this if you don't want to spend the money and you got a bunch of these. Works totally fine. You just tack them in and grind the welds down so it's nice and smooth. But it's not what I want, so I'm just going to go spend $4 and get one more of those. So, and here's the tools we're using. So, and actually, that flux core welder will stick weld. We did stick weld this whole project. So, I could have MIG'd welded it, excuse me. I could have flux core welded it. But to be honest with you, I'm actually just having a blast stick welding and learning how to stick weld. I mean, look at that. Look at that giant loogie. How fantastic is that? Tell you what though, it ain't gonna break. So, but anyway, as far as the rest of this project goes, this part is done. I need one more nut, like I said a few times. And then underneath here, I need to put some tubing or round bar, whatever, to act as a handle. So this is pretty stout material. So this will work out good. I'll show you a little tip here. So when you want to figure out how you're going to get this to line up, before you put your studs in, rest this flat on this back piece here, and all you do is fold this up. It'll catch this and it'll move it to the right position, and then you just mark where you're going to put your studs, and then you'll have your spacing. Now obviously it looks like it's off, and that's because it's not clamped down. So once it's clamped down, this edge will line up on this side of this gap. So that's where we're at. We're going to go get some parts, some fasteners, and then we're probably going to grind this down so it's clean metal, and we're going to tape off this surface in here, and then we're going to paint the whole thing. Just so you know, if you don't already, with sheet metal, stuff like this will imprint or mar or scratch the sheet metal. So if you're looking for a pristine piece, make sure you got this sanded down smooth, almost like a machine finish. You don't want any little BBs in there from welding and what have you, because it's going to dimple and mess up your panel that you're working on. So that's where we're at. We got just a little bit more work to do. The 99% of the fab work is done. The other 1% is those handles and maybe a triangle with an adjustable nut on an all thread in the center to help clamp the center down. But the goal for this is to bend 16 gauge at least. So I use a lot of 18 gauge for patch panels, but in some places I like to use 16 gauge, preferably on the cab section. The thicker the better. It's harder to manipulate and shape than 18 gauge, but for whatever it's worth, it adds a little bit more rigidity to what you're doing if you get in a crash or whatever. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I just feel that the thicker, the stronger, the more durable. So stay tuned. We'll get this wrapped up. All right, welcome back, guys. It's the next day, and we got all the fab work done on the sheet metal brake. Made my own wing nuts. Got a spring to lift up the clamp bar. It's all ground down. Got my reinforcements, handles welded in. All we got to do is wipe it down with some acetone, let it dry, shoot it with some paint, and we're going to tape off this, keep that a machine surface. So we'll get that going. We'll show you what happens. Actually, I'll paint it later. I want to test this thing out. So 16 gauge, pretty good size. Let's see if this does the job and doesn't do what that did and tear itself apart. I feel like this one's a much better design. Definitely a lot sturdier material. So we'll just slide that in. See if I can do this with one hand. Clamp her down. Get it good and tight. Alright, we'll try this with one hand, see how it goes. Whew! Hot damn, boys. She didn't break. Actually, let's do this. Sorry about the crappy cam work. There we go. A little difficult. I got it kind of half-ass clamped to the table. So it's a little over 90. But my sheet metal break. Broke the edge and didn't break itself. I'd say that's a success, folks. So, yeah, I'm real happy with this. I don't know if I'm going to leave it as a table mount. I got these little tabs welded on back here to clamp it. So, I might tear that stand apart. I'm not real happy with it. And use that stuff for miscellaneous nonsense and hootenanny. But this might leave it a bench mount. Might build a table stand for it, or make something much better than that turd over there. But there it is. Did a good job. Like I said, 16 gauge. I don't know about everybody else, but I have different thickness materials in my garage. This sheet is 18 gauge. I kind of screwed it up. It's still got a lot of good usable metal in it, but I threw it down to do something and then I ended up welding over the top of it. I got some snot right there. But what I do is whenever I have cutoffs, I just take a marker and I write what gauge thickness it is. Got a big sheet of 18 gauge over here. I got plenty of 18 to do patch panels and stuff, but there's some things I like using 16 gauge for. Like I said previously, I would much rather put 16 gauge on the cab. You know, if there's ever an accident or whatever, it's thicker material. It could be the difference between something and nothing. So that's where we're at, folks. This is the end of the sheet metal break. The only thing I'm going to do now is wipe it down with acetone and then choose a paint color and get her painted up. So, but on another note, I need to work on organizing my workspace. It's a single car garage. We got the house stuff, the missus' belongings and project things that she's working on in there, and plus all my crap, my tools, my raw materials, supplies, whatever. So gonna try and work on making something a little more organized and user friendly, and give us a little bit of space to work next to each other and whatnot. So what we got in here is some miscellaneous chunks of tubing. This is a 4x4, and these are 1 foot sections of 3.5 by 3.5 square. And so what the plan is to do is this tube will slide inside of this tube and telescope. This is a 4 foot section, and this is going to be a stand. Basically what we're doing is we're going to build a pedestal, but it's going to be like a tree. So I need to source out a old brake drum or steel wheel off a semi. I can probably ask the boss at work if I can get one they're going to scrap. But anyway, so what the plan here is to do is we're going to weld 1/4 inch plate on one end, and it's going to have holes drilled in it, and we are going to mount the drill press to one plate, the vise to another plate, and when I get a bench grinder, it's going to go on one plate, and then we're also going to make another one to mount the bandsaw to. And then basically, if you can imagine it, we're going to have tubing coming off this kind of like a tree branch, and then we're going to take another one of these and put it like that. And so on the main tube, I'm going to drill holes, or drill a hole. These are going to have 2 holes for height adjustments drilled, and we're just going to use a trailer toe pin, you know, like you lock your hitch into your pickup, that type of pin. And whatever I'm using will at the time will be mounted in the main tube, and the other pieces of equipment are going to be stored on this tree branch out of the way. That way it kind of frees up some space, and I can put this in a corner and just work on it, or, you know, whatever I need in the corner. So, but this project is coming a little later down the road. I just sourced some materials yesterday, and we'll get that going. But yeah, things are coming along. Winter's coming, well, fall's coming. Might as well be winter around here because it just rains all the time. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully it was of some value to you and benefit to you. And we appreciate you watching. I'm Brandon. This is Midnight Customs. Smash that like button, subscribe, drop me a comment, let me know what you think. And we got some more projects to come. I think mostly this year, final thought here, Jerry Springer status. I think I spent most of this year just figuring things out, building the stuff that I need to work on the Chevy. And as this year progresses, weather permitting, I will get some stuff done on the Chevy. So, but next summer for sure, we're going to dig into it. We're going chest deep into the truck. We got to get it ready. I really want to be able to have this thing at Hot August Nights in Reno in 2025. So we'll see if we can't make that happen. She needs a lot of work, a lot, from the ground up. So Take care of yourself. We'll see you next time.